from uniform, resource identifiers. That's URI or URL. So when you go to a web browser, you see it's www.google.com or Twitter.com/Occupy London. That's a URI. That's the universal naming system of the web. That's the thing that distinguishes the web from all previous systems. It was the first system to say we think everything in the entire globe should be connected. And the other thing, which of course everyone likes as well, is HTML, hypertext markup language, which I assume everyone's web pages are beta one. Now, as soon as the web started taking off, the web was built for scientists to share information, and hackers, engineers. They weren't thinking of massive financial transactions. They definitely weren't thinking of governments. They weren't thinking of social movements. I apologize, but it didn't occur to them at the time. And what they needed is they needed a way to sort of, when you start doing financial transactions or any sort of transactions, you need to use something called encryption. You need to make it so that someone in the middle, so you're sending some money or you're sending some important information about an action or a decision, maybe you don't want everyone in the world to know. The web is optimized around the case of everyone in the world knowing. Okay? So if you send information across the web, and that web at the top with HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, that's the protocol used by the web to ship web pages around. If you see that the HTTP does not have an S behind it, or there's not a lock, that means that that data is being sent completely and securely across the web. That means anyone, including me, if I'm near you, can intercept it, but definitely government, and read all of your mail. Furthermore, the web was meant to be used by everyone so everyone could read everything. So it wasn't really a very good concept of authenticating yourself. How do you prove that you are yourself when you're doing some sort of transaction on the web? That wasn't built in. And so what happens, if you notice, that almost all web systems today have what's known as logins and passwords, right? So you have a username and you type in a password. So that's sort of, and then what actually happens is you get a little bit of code back from the website. There's a little bit of code which lands in your browser. It's called the cookie. I forget why. And this cookie is what tells the website that this guy and this girl in this web browser is you. But the problem is with these cookies is they're also just little bits of code. So A, they can do other things that tell the website that you're you, and also that information is all sent across the web in an unencrypted fashion, completely in the open, what we call in computer land plain text. So the obvious thing that we need to do is you need to, what people call, you want to hide things. You want to hide information from people who don't want to have access to it. And there's a science of that in computer science that's called cryptography, invented sort of more or less up the street, or at least the large inventions of it, in Bletchley Park by Alan Turing, a British person, to decrypt Nazi codes in World War II, and it's all systematized later on by public key cryptography. And what happens in cryptography is it takes this message that you're seeing, this web page or email or whatever it is, and it sort of encodes it in a way that's so mathematically difficult to break